This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstye Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 5, Episode 22, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on all social media platforms. And I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the mighty Hogstye Network on audio and here on YouTube on video. So the Washington football team had a chance to win a game. They did everything they could not to. New Orleans did for a while too, but finally New Orleans just took them out. And everybody's unhappy now in Washington. I've never seen Rivera this upset, although he's not, throwing things or anything. But if, I listen to Ron all the time, and you can tell when somebody's really upset when you do that. He's really upset.
Yeah.
The question is, what are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, he did say today, hey, there really isn't anybody you're bringing in. There's nobody, we're not going to change any coaches. We're just going to power through. We just got to work harder. And I thought, no. You got to work smarter, not harder, because you can't really do much in practice now.
Right.
CBA rules prohibit going out there and banging or something. You got to figure it out. Is it a question of they can't understand the system and that's why they're doing it? Or are they just a bunch of dummies that can't figure out how to, hang off receivers to the next guy? I don't know. But they figured it out last year, but they can't figure it out this year. And when Jameis Winston, the mediocre journeyman, torches you for 4 touchdowns and a 108 average, brother, you got problems. You got big problems in Capital City.
Yeah, I mean, 2 things really stood out. Obviously, the Hail Mary. Funny comment I saw on Twitter, and I kind of agreed, was I saw it was a girl, I can't remember her name, so I apologize, but she said, I've seen brides at a wedding party jump higher for the bouquet, or women in the audience jump higher for the bouquet than I did those guys. And that's the thing, Rick. I mean, Bobby McCann has constantly been out of position. Landon Collins, for everything that we talked about during the offseason and preseason, has completely just, I don't know, had the biggest brain fart I've ever seen as soon as the regular season started. The problem is it's not who you're going to bring in. It's who you've already got on your roster that can make it, that you can make the change. You can bring in Jeremy Reeves and Cam Curl because they played pretty well together last year. Move McCann to cornerback where he's had more success. You can, I don't know what you're so thin on linebacker. I know he doesn't want to play linebacker, but make Landon Collins play linebacker and then cut him at the end of the year. I mean, you've got to do something. And I mean, the kid that the Cowboys cut, I know he wasn't, an all-pro and he's kind of been a little bit of a bust, but at least kick the tires on the kid. I mean, you need a linebacker. You need help at the linebacker position. Bostic is out for the year. Jamin Davis played 13 snaps yesterday, so clearly Rivera and Del Rio are pissed off at him. I just don't understand why you don't kick the tires on him. And then, again, my second, glaring point was another 70-yard bomb. Every week it seems like there's a guy running free with nobody covering him down the middle of the field for a long bomb touchdown. This is not the Saints with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas. Yeah, they still got Alvin Kamara, but this is Callaway and the guy that got hurt. I can't even remember his name. These are not guys that are names in the league right now or yet. After yesterday, they might be because Callaway had 2 touchdowns. But yeah, it's just insane that they're running free down the damn middle of the field.
I know. It seems like the corners and safeties just can't get in any kind of agreement on this is when you take them, I've got them there. They don't ever seem to be able to figure that out. And the other team's just burning them for it. And okay, as you said, if you mess up, the other team will find you. Well, they found them repeatedly every game doing this. The other amazing one, I thought the line was doing a nice job against the run. And then all of a sudden, Kamara breaks right through it, man. There's a huge hole, runs for, I think, a 42-yard touchdown. It kind of surprised me because Deron Payne, I thought had a really good game overall. He's the one lineman I like, but they busted him that way too.
Mhm.
And this team isn't built to win shootouts.
Mhm.
I thought the play calling offensively was really scattered, even though it was somewhat balanced overall pass run ratio in a tight game. But who was he throwing to? Ricky Seals-Jones? Are
Yeah.
you serious? I mean, maybe if it's Logan Thomas, but not Ricky Seals-Jones, who missed a few plays. You still had Terry McLaurin out there, and you still had Adam Humphries came up with one. I even saw Dax Milne, and you had targets. You had targets out there, and you didn't seem to use them.
Yeah.
And it just was choppy. It never flowed.
And especially after Samuel went out, you saw Dax Milne, I guess they're going to have to promote. I mean, if Samuel's out a long time, they're going to have to promote Kelvin Harmon from the practice squad because they need bodies. Here's another position that we thought was their strong suit with wide receivers, where they were cutting guys that would make the team, would make any other team in the league, but there was just too much competition. Well, guess what? Now we're down to Dax Milne, and look, he may end up being a good player. He might end up being the next Marcus Mason, but here's the deal. You're down to that guy now. You're down to having to play Sammis Reyes, where you hope to stash him as the third or fourth tight end throughout the season. That was another thing too. Why didn't Sammis Reyes get on the field? I didn't see him once.
I think he was on the, I didn't really see him, but I know he played. I think he must have been in special teams. And I must have missed it.
Give the kid a chance, man.
Saw DeAndre Carter, as a receiver, which we said, hey, why not? And I thought he did okay.
Yeah, he did well
overall. They said that you're missing Cam Sims, and Diami Brown. That makes your passing attack die. I don't think so. Those aren't your main guys.
No, but it allows the defenses to key on your number one. And we saw Marshawn Lattimore was all over Terry. Now, don't get me wrong. Heineke was throwing, way. He was either throwing too short to Terry or too high to Terry. We'll get to Taylor, but yeah, I mean, just because you lose Diami Brown and I think the more the linchpin of that passing attack taking a step back is no Logan Thomas.
Yeah, he's really missing him in these two games has been obvious.
Well, look at when they got in the red zone, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but look at when they got in the red zone. They were rolling. They got right down to that red zone yesterday with the, DeAndre Carter doing sweeps, and they got right down to the red zone. When they got to the red zone, they stalled because they didn't have Logan. That's where Logan is most valuable.
Yeah, and then they were terrible down in that spot. They got some yards and all, but they couldn't quite punch it in. I mean, Hopkins did make 3 field goals, okay, but they didn't try them with 52 yards at one point. Mm-hmm. And they just decided to take a 4th down throw that was awful. And you're like, wait a minute. All I hear you say is, you trust them. I don't trust you for this one. I mean, 52 is long, but it's doable. And you didn't even try.
Yeah.
That was crazy. The backbreaker was that Hail Mary at the end of the first half. That ended the tie game and it just broke their back.
Well,
there's no excuse for that.
It not only broke the tie, but it completely took the air out of the team, and actually it took the air out of the stadium, except for all those Saints fans, which we heard a lot of those yesterday on TV.
Well, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it sounded like the Saints owned the stadium." Not really. It's just they were winning, so they were yelling more. No, I'd say it was about 1/3 Saints fans, 2/3 Washington fans. So, for once, they'd actually outnumbered people. But hey, the Saints were the ones getting a cheer at the end, so it sounded more like them. And of course, last few minutes of the games, they were the only ones left.
Yeah,
because everybody left. It did have a crowd of 50,000. I actually said 51. I was within 800, but I'm never over. So they actually are telling us a real number now. I thought if there's 50, I figured there's 60. But there wasn't. It was a charged crowd. They were doing pretty well there for a while. Mm-hmm. It's best crowd. Now, 50,000, not much to talk about it when they were much bigger before, but it's the best they've been. I don't know if that shows progress or not. Kansas City comes to FedEx this week. I bet there's a lot of Chiefs fans around just because there's front runners everywhere.
Yep.
That'll be interesting to see. When they wear red, so it's kind of the same as burgundy, from a distance, you can't tell. But overall, it wasn't a bad atmosphere on this. One thing we talked about too, Rivera, this week was your trainer was investigated by the DEA. I actually heard reports coming from the players about the DEA comes into Redskin Park late Friday. They said it was like a TV show, movie, where the feds bust through the training room doors and start grabbing stuff out of cabinets. And they're like, what the heck is going on here? And the trainer, Ryan Vermillion, has been basically put on leave by the team. He's being investigated by the DEA, and they're not really saying anything. And I don't have any DEA sources to tell me stuff, but it's supposedly about, the controlled substances, the pills, didn't add up in an audit. And that happens, every pharmacy has to do an audit. And so does places like Redskin Park. I mean, I've known that for decades. I've heard these stories. You have to account for this controlled substances.
Yeah. And
supposedly there's a gaffe. Is it bad bookkeeping? Is it something else? I don't know. But it's just, they asked Rivera, you just talked about changing the culture and all that kind of stuff. And here we are again. And he even said, yeah, I don't know why these things are happening here. I was like, I know, but this is your guy. You were with him for years and years. I don't know if he's guilty. He hadn't even been charged with anything yet. But once more, the weirdest things happen out there. So
that's a weird one. That's definitely a weird one. I mean, like you said, that's his guy. He brought him with him from Carolina, and that was one of that was the biggest issue that we've had over the past couple of years, were injuries and guys rehabbing from injury. I mean, it all goes back to Trent Williams for me and the previous staff and what he accused them of. And, it's just like now this, it's like, what else can happen? If you think about it, at the beginning of the season, this was supposed to be a top 5, possibly top 3 defense. The offense was supposed to be better. We were supposed to be rolling with a 50-50 guy in Fitz. And if he flopped, then maybe we'd see Heineke. Well, it's just, everybody out there just seems lost. Coaching looks lost. Players look lost. And now the organization, which, in all account, looked like it was taking a step forward and moving in the right direction for once, has another gaffe and is taking another step back and is another, now we're just laughing stocks of the league again. It's depressing as hell, man.
Yeah, it's looking like a bad, 4-13. So maybe they can get that quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to get their quarterback next year.
I don't know if he's any good really or not, but Spencer Rattler playing out there, I just like the name. So Rattler is coming, man. That'd be a cool name. But Jake the Snake was good for the Raiders, but that kind of thing. But we'll see who they get.
Yeah.
That was definitely.
Maybe we're the Washington Rattlers next year.
There you go. You just changed the whole name. I think everybody is so tired of that nonsense.
Yeah.
I did something on Rick Snyder's Washington on Twitter, and I did a video saying that, Hail to the Redskins has become the outlaw anthem. Go ahead and sing it. Our corporate overlords don't want you to.
Right.
Well, screw them. Sing what you want. I think everybody's just tired of this name BS. I keep getting emails from them every day of, you got to buy. This is the last chance to buy Washington football team, whatever. Yeah, sure it is.
Well, and here's the funny thing about it, Rick. All the excitement about the team is gone. Who's going to care about the name?
That's part of it too, especially if they stink, and now you got a name attached to a stink.
Yeah.
That ain't great either. And
you got a stinky, crap record, and now all the people that were against the name change are going to be even more against it, because now you're forcing another name upon us, and it's just the continuation of the previous name as far as the record and the suckage.
Yeah.
Under Dan Snyder. I'll say under Dan Snyder.
Yeah. I mean, for once, we can't blame Dan Snyder for things that are going on.
He hadn't been there.
He's around. He's around, actually, but
we could blame Dan. Okay. This has been 20 years of Dan.
Well, I guess you can't blame the training situation. I mean, gotta admit, feds coming in the door kind of scared a lot of people. Because they didn't know what they were coming in for.
Yeah.
And they were wondering, good Lord, what's happening? I have seen cops on the road arrest player. There was a player in particular they took out in a hotel lobby in Florida because he was way behind on child support in Florida. Mm-hmm. And they cuffed him, and his teammates all passed the hat and raised, I think, $15,000 or something. And they took the cuffs off and played. So these things do happen. But all right, we got to get out of here for the next show. So I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll see you again soon.
Bye.